Matthew. Chapter 23. Then Jesus spoke to the crowds and to his disciples, saying, The scribes and the Pharisees have seated themselves in Moses' seat. Therefore all that they tell you, do and keep, but do not do according to their works, for they say things and do not do them. And they bind burdens, heavy and hard to bear, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with their finger. And all their works they do to be seen by men, for they broaden their phylacteries and enlarge the fringes of their garments. And they love the place of honor at the dinners and the chief seats in the synagogues. And the salutations in the marketplaces and to be called by men, Rabbi. But you, do not be called Rabbi, for one is your teacher, and you are all brothers. And do not call anyone on earth your father, for one is your Father, he who is in the heavens. Neither be called instructors, because one is your instructor, the Christ. And the greatest among you shall be your servant. And he who will exalt himself shall be humbled, and he who will humble himself shall be exalted. But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you close off the kingdom of the heavens in the face of men, for you do not enter in yourselves, nor do you allow those who are entering to enter. But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you devour the widows' houses, even while for a pretense you make long prayers. For this reason you shall receive greater judgment. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you go about the sea and the dry land to make one proselyte, and when he becomes one, you make him twice as much a son of Gehenna as yourselves. Woe to you, blind guides, who say, Whoever swears by the temple, it is nothing, but whoever swears by the gold of the temple, he is bound. Fools and blind men, which is greater, the gold or the temple which sanctifies the gold? And, whoever swears by the altar, it is nothing, but whoever swears by the gift which is upon it, he is bound. Blind men, which is greater, the gift or the altar which sanctifies the gift? Therefore he who swears by the altar swears by it and by all the things upon it. And he who swears by the temple swears by it and by him who dwells in it. And he who swears by heaven swears by the throne of God and by him who sits upon it. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you give a tenth of the mint and the anise and the cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faithfulness. But these you should have done and not neglected the others. Blind guides, who strain out the gnat but swallow the camel. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you cleanse the outside of the cup and the dish, but inwardly they are full of extortion and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisee, cleanse first the inside of the cup and the dish so that their outside also may become clean. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you resemble whitewashed graves, which outwardly appear beautiful but inwardly are full of dead men's bones and all uncleanness. So you also outwardly appear righteous to men, but inwardly you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you build up the graves of the prophets and adorn the tombs of the righteous. And say, If we had been there in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. So then you testify against yourselves that you are the sons of those who murdered the prophets. And you, fill up the measure of your fathers. Serpents! Brood of vipers! How shall you escape the judgment of Gehenna? Therefore, behold, I send to you prophets and wise men and scribes. Some of them you will kill and crucify, and some of them you will scourge in your synagogues and persecute from city to city. So that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed on the earth, from the blood of righteous Abel to the blood of Zachariah, son of Berechiah, whom you murdered between the temple and the altar. Truly I say to you, all these things shall come upon this generation. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, who kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to her. How often I desired to gather your children together, the way a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you would not. Behold, your house is left to you desolate. For I say to you, you shall by no means see me from now on until you say, Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Matthew. Chapter 24. And Jesus came out from the temple and was going away, and his disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. But he answered and said to them, Do you not see all these things? Truly I say to you, there shall by no means be left here a stone upon a stone, which shall not be thrown down. And as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the consummation of the age? And Jesus answered and said to them, See that no one leads you astray. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and they will lead many astray. And you will be hearing of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not alarmed, for it must happen, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these things are the beginning of birth pangs. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and will kill you, and you will be hated by all the nations because of my name. And at that time many will be stumbled and will deliver up one another and will hate one another. And many false prophets will arise and will lead many astray. And because lawlessness will be multiplied, the love of the many will grow cold. But he who has endured to the end, this one shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole inhabited earth for a testimony to all the nations, and then the end will come. Therefore when you see the abomination of desolation, which was spoken of through Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, let him who reads understand. Then let those in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him who is on the housetop not come down to take the things out of his house. And let him who is in the field not turn back to take his garment. But woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing babies in those days. And pray that your flight may not be in winter, nor on a Sabbath. For at that time there will be great tribulation, such as has not occurred from the beginning of the world until now, nor shall by any means ever occur. And unless those days had been cut short, no flesh would be saved, but on account of the chosen, those days will be cut short. At that time if anyone says to you, Behold, here is the Christ. Or, Here. Do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and will show great signs and wonders so as to lead astray, if possible, even the chosen. Behold, I have told you beforehand. Therefore if they say to you, Behold, he is in the wilderness, do not go forth, behold, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe it. For just as the lightning comes forth from the east and shines to the west, so will the coming of the Son of Man be. Wherever the corpse is, there will the vultures be gathered together. And immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. And at that time the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and then all the tribes of the land will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his chosen together from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other end. But learn the parable from the fig tree, as soon as its branch has become tender and puts forth its leaves, you know that the summer is near. So also you, when you see all these things, know that it is near, at the doors. Truly I say to you that this generation shall by no means pass away until all these things happen. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words shall by no means pass away. But concerning that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of the heavens nor the Son, but the Father only. For just as the days of Noah were, so will the coming of the Son of Man be. For as they were in those days before the flood, eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day in which Noah entered into the ark. And they did not know that judgment was coming until the flood came and took all away, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. At that time 2 men will be in the field, one is taken and one is left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one is taken and one is left. Watch therefore, for you do not know on what day your Lord comes. But know this, that if the householder had known in which watch the thief was coming, he would have watched and would not have allowed his house to be broken into. For this reason you also be ready, because at an hour when you do not expect it, the Son of Man is coming. Who then is the faithful and prudent slave, whom the master has set over his household to give them food at the proper time? Blessed is that slave whom his master, when he comes, will find so doing. Truly I say to you that he will set him over all his possessions. But if that evil slave says in his heart, My master delays, and begins to beat his fellow slaves and eats and drinks with the drunken, the master of that slave will come on a day when he does not expect him and at an hour which he does not know, and will cut him asunder and appoint his portion with the hypocrites. In that place there will be the weeping and the gnashing of teeth. Matthew chapter 25. At that time the kingdom of the heavens will be likened to 10 virgins, who took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were foolish and 5 were prudent. For the foolish, when they took their lamps, did not take oil with them. But the prudent took oil in their vessels with their lamps. And while the bridegroom delayed, they all became drowsy and slept. But at midnight there was a cry, Behold, the bridegroom! Go forth to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their own lamps. And the foolish said to the prudent, Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the prudent answered, saying, Perhaps there will not be enough for us and for you, go rather to those who sell, and buy for yourselves. And as they were going away to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the wedding feast. And the door was shut. And later the rest of the virgins came also, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Truly I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you do not know the day nor the hour. For the kingdom of the heavens is just like a man about to go abroad, who called his own slaves and delivered to them his possessions. To one he gave 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability. And he went abroad. Immediately he who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them and gained another 5. Similarly, he who had received the 2 gained another 2. But he who had received the 1 went off and dug in the earth and hid his master's money. Now after a long time the master of those slaves came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came and brought another 5 talents, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents, behold, I have gained another 5 talents. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful slave. You were faithful over a few things, I will set you over many things. Enter into the joy of your master. And he who had received the 2 talents also came and said, Master, you delivered to me 2 talents, behold, I have gained another 2 talents. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful slave. You were faithful over a few things, I will set you over many things. Enter into the joy of your master. Then he who had received the 1 talent also came and said, Master, I knew about you, that you are a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you did not winnow. And I was afraid and went off and hid your talent in the earth, behold, you have what is yours. And his master answered and said to him, Evil and slothful slave, you knew that I reap where I did not sow and gather where I did not winnow. Therefore you should have deposited my money with the money changers, and when I came, I would have recovered what is mine with interest. Take away therefore the talent from him and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to every one who has, more shall be given, and he shall abound, but from him who does not have, even that which he has shall be taken away from him. And cast out the useless slave into the outer darkness. In that place there will be the weeping and the gnashing of teeth. But when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, at that time he will sit on the throne of his glory. And all the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate them from one another, just as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will set the sheep on his right hand and the goats on the left. Then the king will say to those on his right hand, Come, you who are blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat, I was thirsty and you gave me a drink, I was a stranger and you took me in. Naked and you clothed me, I was sick and you visited me, I was in prison and you came to me. Then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when have we seen you hungry and have fed you, or thirsty and have given you a drink? And when have we seen you a stranger and have taken you in, or naked and have clothed you? And when have we seen you sick or in prison and have come to you? And the king will answer and say to them, Truly I say to you, inasmuch as you have done it to one of these, the least of my brothers, you have done it to me. Then he will say also to those on the left, Go away from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry and you did not give me anything to eat, I was thirsty and you did not give me a drink. I was a stranger and you did not take me in, naked and you did not clothe me, sick and in prison, and you did not visit me. Then they also will answer, saying, Lord, when have we seen you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison and did not minister to you? Then he will answer them, saying, Truly I say to you, inasmuch as you did not do it to one of the least of these, neither have you done it to me. And these shall go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life.